First, I want to talk about what I talked about last year during my opening presentation, a brief recap. Number one, India is a big player in the internet economy as builders, enablers, and users. And number two, India has the potential to lead the decentralized internet economy. And this year, so if I summarize all these in one sentence, why India will do well in Web3. That's what I talked about last year. This year, I want to talk about why India should lead in Web3. And reason number one is India being a masala country. India is a mix of cultures, economies, and people, more diverse than any other state. And that's why I say India serves as global microcosm, and a win for India can be win for the world. And let me tell you how diverse India and what it means for the world. So if you look at economic diversity, even though there's a massively wide spectrum, we can largely categorize it into three segments: urban India, emerging India, and aspiring India. And all these have different spending habits and different popular services, which means India can showcase how its economic spectrum can stimulate and drive inclusive and scalable solutions. So diversity is really gold mine for creating scalable and inclusive solutions if you are focusing on a long-term impact. And the next is socio-cultural diversity. India demonstrates how its vast social and cultural diversity fuels interoperable innovations for a global interconnected community. So if you look at languages, with 22 official languages, platforms like DigiLocker and CoWin are multilingual by design. And if you look at the culture, also programs like Swat Bharat bring communities together while respecting cultural programs. Even in politics, systems like Panchayat system empower voices from the grassroots and drive national integration. These examples show how India's diversity inspires inclusive innovations. And lastly, democratic empowerment. Before UPI, banking was limited and digital transactions were rare and expensive. After UPI in 2016, now 80% people have access to banking, and half of transactions are being online. And now we are entering fintech era, which you will have a dedicated session to learn about later today. They're adopting blockchain tech, and which can scale even further across the globe. So India's financial innovations inspire global solutions for decentralized systems. And the second main reason being, India serves as a global model. India can become a benchmark for many other emerging states, given Indian innovations redefine global possibilities. One is underdog, right? India, I think, can be best described as an underdog, as a state. Whether you look at a story like Infosys and IT services industry, or you look at ISRO, became the first to reach the moon's South Pole using much less budget than that of other developed nations. And Amul, like a cooperative model that made India become the largest milk producer in the world. So these stories prove that India can compete and win on a global scale. And emerging market breakthroughs. So India's innovation is not just about following the path of developed nations. India can surpass leapfrog and traditional systems, achieving unprecedented efficiency and scalability. One example can be electoral counting. This is a tweet from Elon Musk recently, appreciating how India is efficient in counting its votes compared to that of California. And even though you look at grocery delivery, not only delivery cost, but also delivery time is much better than not only that of developed nations, but also other emerging markets like Nigeria. And lastly, these kind of innovations didn't start as a tool to address global issues from day one. They all were born to address local challenges. And later, it shows how scalable it can be for the global majority, whether it's Aadhaar card or Aravind Eye Care, or Reliance Jio. Yeah, so these are mainly two reasons why I think India should lead in Web3. And India's Web3 growth is a part of a bigger vision, which is India's digital renaissance. By accelerating innovation in areas like blockchain and digital infrastructure, we can transform lives at scale. And to do that, I have a proposal to major stakeholders that are operators and investors and regulators. If you are Indian funds, I propose to expand your investments in Web3 to stay ahead in India's tech transformation. If you look at global asset managers' crypto exposure, companies like BlackRock and Fidelity have $20 to $40 billion AUM in BTC products. And companies like Fidelity and VNEC are telling their clients to increase your crypto exposure to 1 to 6%. So if you bring the number to Indian dry powder for startups, it should be $1 billion over the next 5 years being invested in Indian startups. But if you look at current trend, it will be only to $50 million. So there's a huge gap between what's ideal allocation by global asset managers and what we are actually doing as an Indian funds. And if you are global funds, I propose to increase your exposure to India opportunities. You can look at number of developers growing. You can look at number of open source projects. And it seems quite clear that India will overtake the US by 2028 as the largest developer market in the world. And if you are thinking of setting up your own fund, I propose to adopt a long-term investment mindset and align your funds to match. The Web3 space, more than any other sector, lures long-term investors as adoption scales and innovation compounds. And these are a few examples that how explosive the return can be, only if you have a long life fund. And this is for operators. If you are global and established players, and please do invest in dedicated teams and resources for India if you haven't done so. I see the number of major ecosystems active in India doubling every year, and now we are seeing almost up to 30 major ecosystems active in India. And if you are a local startups, this may sound cliche, but there's a reason why this is cliche. Where there's a will, there's a way. Tough times don't last, but tough ones do. And there are many category leaders built by Indian founders during all these difficult times. I hope this can serve as good benchmark stories for your own journey. And lastly, this is a message for regulators. To establish clear frameworks for Web3 activities. This includes fair tax policies, safe harbor for developers, and secure systems for user protection. A strong regulatory foundation will attract global players and encourage local innovation. Yeah, so this is my last message, right? India is not just ready to excel in Web3, it has the responsibility to lead. And that's what I believe. By leveraging its diversity, talent, and resilience, we can set a global benchmark for Web3 success. And thank you for being part of this journey. Let's work together to shape Web3 ecosystem that transforms lives both in India and around the world. Thank you.